It's Rut and River.
Yes.
Correct.
R-U-T.
I rest my beard hair on it.
And then you know you're there.
Like a nice, gentle little pillow for my beard.
Right.
And then I'm all up in it.
Oh.
I'm like Kobe beef for sharks.
Can I ask you, what made you guys call me up about, well, this?
That's what tickles our fancy.
Exactly. Okay.
Thought the Rocky Mountains would be rockier.
John Denver is not accurate.
Man.
A guy like you, who has absolutely no clue, and I can hear it in your voice, that, I mean, you're a blank canvas. I mean, I can just start with you like from scratch.
You're going to tell me, a grown man, you're telling me what lure to use and how to fish?
You guys didn't snap your whopper plopper off either, though.
Sorry, I blew up over that.
Welcome back, guys. This is the Rut and River Pursuits podcast. You are sitting around the Sonic campfire, and we have a big show for you guys tonight. One of my favorite people that I've met at the Great American Outdoor Show
Last year.
But before I get to it, I got to tell everybody who's with me.
I'm Steve.
I'm Will.
Phil Buckman.
This is Dave.
I'm excited because right now, this week, duck season has started here in Pennsylvania. It's getting colder out. And on the phone, I have Billy and Dennis from Dr. Duck. How you doing, Billy?
What's up, man? It's good to talk to you guys.
You too, buddy. Where are you guys at pending duck season coming up?
Well, we're right now we're getting ready. Our season here doesn't open up till November 10th. But to be honest with you, we're gonna jump out and try and get a head start on it. Dennis and I are headed up to the Dakotas. We got in on their waterfowl draw this year. We're fortunate enough to get in on that, and we're gonna hit the Dakotas the 1st of November, hang out there for a little bit, and then make our way over to Arkansas for their opener. And then I know there towards at the end of the month we'll be headed back to the Northwest. So we're fired up, ready to get on the road, man.
Yeah.
You guys got warm enough clothes.
Oh yeah, baby.
It's funny you said that because when I first started waterfowl hunting, I didn't realize that like the Midwest up to, I have some friends in Saskatchewan right now that are killing it, but the Dakotas, Canada, I wasn't aware of the record numbers of the flyway of ducks and geese that go up through that way. Like I guess growing up, I always thought that the ducks were on the East Coast and the geese were on the East Coast. They flew from, Canada down, back and forth. But holy mackerel, the pictures and videos that I got sent from Saskatchewan were outrageous. The sky was just littered with ducks.
Yeah.
And
Almost blacked out.
so for you to say that you're going up to the Dakotas is not a shock to me now, but, when I first started, I'd have been like, what? Why? I don't understand that. And so it's shocking to me.
No, I mean, it's still, to be honest with you, it's just like, for us, it's like walking in, like a kid walking in that candy store, your mouth hits, your jaw hits the floor. It's growing up here in East Texas, Texas is known really more for deer. And, if you get down around Houston, the coastal stuff, and up in the panhandle of Texas, there's some great waterfowl, especially geese. But here in East Texas, man, we're just kind of like sitting between two flyways, and it's hard work here in East Texas. We don't really start getting big pushes of mallards until the end of December, and the season ends in January. So, they have it now. Early on, all we did is hunt public in this area, and I can still to this day remember the first time going to Canada or going up north in the Midwest and seeing those numbers. It's to this day, it's just amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of like that here in Pennsylvania where we're at. Just an hour and a half, not even that, an hour or some east of us in Lancaster area. The geese numbers that they see the further east they go in Pennsylvania are astounding compared to what we see. It's a little harder work to get them here. For us, we don't see the numbers that they do, but
We get that snow geese, too, out that way.
yeah. So we have snow geese literally 30 minutes east of us. You'll see one or two fly through the season where we're at, and that's it. But
that's nuts.
You know, and then you go down toward the eastern shore, 2 hours from us, and down around the Chesapeake Bay, and the numbers of geese are a lot like those pictures I see of Canada. It's astounding when those flyways come through, but they some of the leases on those farms down there are they're astronomical on what it costs to lease a farm.
Everything's expensive down there.
Everything's expensive down there.
So these specific areas where you're traveling to, and like what Catfish is talking about, what causes there to be such a heavy
congregation?
Yeah, congregation of
for that
ducks
flyway
in that area. Yeah.
Well, the birds are coming down here later in the year. They're spending the majority of their time up in Canada, and they start the migration when it gets too cold, their food gets covered up, they'll start to head south. But I mean, that's why you have the heavier concentration. They breed up there, and plus, Texas, especially in our area, agriculture is not what it once was. So the abundance of food from the Midwest, where they're still, farming states, and we still have some farming out west, but Texas majority really, and Dennis can jump in here. He's really the doctor. I'm just a nurse, but
ain't nothing wrong with that, bud.
Texas has become more cattle country really than crop country.
Right.
Don't you agree, Dennis?
Oh yeah. Now you're in what they would call the Central Flyway, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you did key on one thing about how they're migrating. You would say that they're really getting pushed down because of the ice up, and like you said, their food's getting covered up, and the water they're normally in is completely frozen, and that's how they're moving. It's mainly weather, right? So, your season might open November 1st, but the ducks just might not be there.
Yeah, I mean, that's right on. And Dennis, you can jump in here anytime you want, but until their food's covered up, I mean, really, especially with the mallards, I mean, we believe that, they're kind of, that's what we get after mallards more than we do anything else. And it's just kind of a lazy duck, really. I mean, if they've got food available, even when some of the water is icing up, a lot of the rivers in those areas will still be open, so they can find water. And it's really a situation where when their food, when they can't get to the food anymore is when they're going to start getting on the move.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that's actually the opposite problem I'm having. We're seeing ducks, but nobody has cut their corn in my area, and they're just there's nothing in any cut cornfields anywhere because there is none. So I honestly think if they would have cut a couple cornfields in my area, I think duck season would have been epic this week. But there's no reason for them to stop in my area.
So,
yeah.
So you guys are in East Texas, which is known for whitetail. I mean, Texas, you hear is just whitetail. Like, I mean, I've gone down there to hunt ducks, but on the plane ride, people are like, "You're going where to hunt what? Like, why aren't you going to Texas to hunt deer?" So what got you guys hooked on duck hunting when you're in pretty much the deer capital of the U.S.?
Well, that's a good question, and deer is prominent, and I don't know that that's a question that come up yesterday. We had the opportunity to talk to a group of college kids at SFA for the Ducks Unlimited varsity chapter over there, and that's one of the questions that come up over there. Everybody around us and a lot of the people we hang out with, a lot of people chasing big bucks, and to be honest, for me and Dennis, I mean, maybe we're a little ADHD, and for us to sit in a box or in a blind for any amount of time is hard work. There weren't anybody. I mean, there wasn't anybody when we were growing up in this area that chased ducks. Dennis, I mean, he grew up. I mean, do you even shoot deer growing up? Mostly coons and hogs and squirrels.
Just never developed a passion for chasing deer. It's just a little bit too slow pace. And to be honest with you, with the technology it is now, with the game cameras, you're sitting in a box blind, it's all warm and cozy. You got it pretty much time when the deer's coming to feed or eat. It's just not, to me, it's not challenging enough for me. Not saying it's not challenging enough for the next guy, but for me personally, it's just not challenging enough. And I'm right now, as long as I can still walk, put one foot in front of the other, I'm going to be chasing ducks. And I like the challenge of finding them, hunting them. you know, and once you do find them, you got to figure out how you're going to, you know, finish the deal, you know, get them to come into your decoys and your spread, and you know, you're not allowed to bait them. So, you know, you just got to figure out where they are and try to seal. To me, that's, you know, it's challenging. And plus you got competition on public ground that even takes it to a different level of trying to, you know, number one, get the hole that you scouted. Number two, you got a neighbor next to you and you're trying to call the ducks into you, and you got somebody over there that's trying to call the ducks into them. And it just elevates the game a little bit for me. And I just like those challenges versus sitting in a deer stand by myself you know, watching a deer.
And, you know, by yourself is kind of a key, you know. I mean, we both had boys. We carried deer hunting, and they like to go, and we take them shooting. But outside of that, I mean, the camaraderie, you know, the work that goes in for a group of guys to go and get share time chasing ducks, it's just kind of a different deal, you know.
Yeah, well, and I think that you both touched on something good there too, because I mean, here in Pennsylvania, I have that in the last 5 years, I've seen that competition for goose hunting actually explode to the point where we're stepping on each other on private farms, not even public land. And I can hear guys calling across the road on another farm. So that does put a whole different aspect on the hunting. But what Dennis was saying, I don't think so. Like, I know some of our listeners like got it right away, but some of them probably didn't. And I think with what Dennis is putting down here is people don't realize when you're duck hunting or goose hunting in general is you're getting up way earlier than I do in archery season, way earlier than I ever do in rifle season. Hell, I'm in the field for 2 hours and already set up and standing in the dark waiting for light to come for an hour and a half before shooting light. Getting out in the freezing cold February, setting, you know, dozens and dozens of decoys exactly the way I want them, you know, puffing in your layout blinds. I'm sure you guys hunt out of shallow water boats as well.
Well, yes, sir. And, you know, to get to hole here in Texas, if you're an hour and a half before daylight, you're late.
That's what I'm saying. Same here.
Yeah, you have to be there the day before. You're sleeping in the boat, on the water, on the lakes.
And that's, I think, what you were saying with how challenging it can be. It can be extremely tiring to be a waterfowl hunter.
Yes, sir. And it'll wear on you if you're doing it day in and day out. You know, you work all week, Monday through Friday. You put your hours in. As soon as you get off work on Friday, you're going straight to the hole. Because you know, if you don't, as soon as you get off work, if you try to show up at midnight, you're late.
Yeah.
So you're staying up pretty much all night in a boat. Then you're hunting all morning, and then you do it again Saturday night. You hunt Sunday, and you come home. You try to get a little rest before you go back to work Monday.
Right.
You know, so it's a grind for a duck hunter. But you know, and like I said, then you got somebody once you do get your spot. I mean. You're lucky, you know, sometimes, and you hear a lot of public ground hunters think, you know, got a lot of guys sitting up too close to them.
Yeah, well, that's...
Which it happens, and, you know, but you got to learn how to work through it and be respectful about it, and that's one thing we're trying to teach. And, you know, we're also trying to motivate people to do the honor system. You know, if your neighbor's working a bunch of ducks and mallards and they're working on them, you know, and you got this flyby teal or wood duck that comes by your hole, and you know, let him go. Let those guys try to finish those ducks over there. Just respect your neighbor as much as you can, and you know, try to make public ground as, you know, as fun as it can be, but also make it respectful for each other, and you know, just try to continue to return the favors. You know,
sure.
So that's the thing we're trying to promote right now is etiquette and understanding. You know how hard it is if you're mallard hunting and you do got those guys over there. Just respect them a little bit, and then hopefully later on that morning or maybe on the next hunt, they'll return the favor, and that's what we're trying to get to.
Absolutely. I find it for me personally last year. I find it for me personally last year that that was a new lesson. After all these years, it was a new lesson for me to learn a new level of sportsmanship. That you know, when we're already set up and a guy pulls in 200 yards down the field, can see your headlights of your truck, know you're already half set up, and he starts setting up his dozen, you know, his trailer full of decoys or whatnot. You know, really having that sportsmanship to go, you know, like, do I go, like, ask him who he thinks he is, or, you know, kick him out of here? We were here first. Like, all those things kind of go through my head, and then I realized going, Well, what a better way to just set up and hunt for this one day. It's only one day, and there's something little inside of you that gives you that extra enjoyment whenever you knock some birds out of the sky that were just circling around them. So, but unfortunately, I think that the etiquette that you're trying to teach needs to be taught on a grand scale, because that's just not in Texas. That's here too, And I'm not trying to bad talk nobody. It happens to everybody. In Pennsylvania, with the number of hunters that we have, and waterfowl hunting growing exponentially every year, it's exploding in numbers of hunters. It's hard to find a place to hunt without stepping on each other.
Yes, sir. And it's really worse here in Texas too, because Texas, even though we're a big state, we're probably 90 to 95% privately owned. And a lot of young guys out there, they can afford a boat payment, but they can't afford these high dollar deer leases. So, the public lakes around here, you're able to access them and duck hunt. And duck hunting's gotten real popular because of that, and a lot of guys are our age calls those group of guys the Duck Dynasty group. And I think a lot of guys our age needs to recognize we need these young guys out there. We need to help them as much as we can. And, a lot of them don't have a dad or a grandfather who taught them how to duck hunt. They're actually out there trying to learn. And, and me and Billy, we came from that, so we understand where they're at. And so, we had to learn lessons on the way, and really didn't have a mentor to really teach us the right way or anything like that. We just kind of learned. And, we just went to that seminar last night at Stephen F. Austin, and a lot of those guys over there, they're in the same boat that we were in, and we stayed around and talked to them. And, just to hear their stories was just like the stories that we lived in the past. And so we're just trying to, educate these guys and educate the older guys to don't be afraid to reach out a hand and help them. Even though it's not your son or your daughter out there, you can pass something on to somebody else regardless who it is. And those guys will remember it for the rest of their life.
I'm so glad you guys got into duck hunting just to spread that word right there.
Well, if it wasn't for people like Billy and Dennis, the future generations wouldn't have duck hunting. If you just shunned everybody out of it because you didn't want them in your hole,
right on.
I don't want you hunting around me. That's not the way to be.
I like the fact that they're trying to mentor and they're taking a negative and making a positive, and it's refreshing.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. I mean, for sure. But you guys, y'all are all avid outdoorsmen, and nothing good come out of a situation where you got two frustrated groups of people carrying loaded weapons. That ain't a good situation. But you look at Arkansas, and I think that's another situation that it is what it is, and there's certainly some states with tighter regulations like South Dakota with their draw and so forth. But we've made a lot of trips in the last 15, 20 years to Arkansas, and the last three years, I guess they're realizing that growth catfish that you're just talking about, and they don't like it, and the locals, aren't liking what's happening, and now they're limiting out the time that guys like us from out of state can spend over there, and they've cut it down to 30 days, which isn't terrible, but now you have to pay separate fees for whichever WMA you're going to get on, and you can only buy so many passes through the year. And I've been one of those guys where I don't think that government regulations are the way to solve anything, to be honest with you. I think it takes people like you guys and people like us who are out there every day talking to other people to help spread the word on how, as a group, we can fix it ourselves, No,
I love that.
Yeah.
So what would you tell a young hunter or an old hunter? Say you had say you wanted to teach somebody one thing about how to pass that on. If you only had a few minutes passing somebody at a truck that's, say, upset or whatever, like, what's something that you would tell the other guy that, hey, man, like, we all, because I always used to, hey, we all have to hunt here, let's hunt together. And not everybody wants to do that. Actually, my group that I hunt with has grown. Sometimes I have 15 guys in my group because I've said that too many times. So I've had 15 layout blinds in a day. So I guess it's tough to pass that on whenever there's an aggravation type of stage where where you guys went up and talked to last night, where guys are listening and they want to learn. That's a different story. Like, people listening to this, they're listening to this, to learn something, to hear something, so we can pass that good note on. But there's always that moment in the moment that, how do you slow that roll down?
Well, the first thing I think we have to do as duck hunters is not worry about the numbers. And that's what I was telling the young men last night and women. Don't worry about the numbers. Enjoy the journey. Quit worrying about getting your limits or your not limits, and that's the problem. That's, there's no secret hole out there on public land. Somebody on public land, you're hunting Ivy League ducks and you're hunting the smartest ducks out there. You're not allowed on private land, you're allowed to let those ducks rest and let them come in there for a couple of days or weeks or whatever, whenever you decide to hunt it. Those birds are, pretty confident coming in. When you go to public land hunting, you don't have that because somebody's hitting it every day. And the thing is that, greed drives that deal to where, you don't want somebody hunting around you because you're worried about getting your 6 birds and your partner's worried about getting 6 birds, and we're not worried about helping the next guy out. And I just think we need to get away from that. And it's like Billy always says, let's enjoy the journey. And, we've got to get to that point to where we see these younger guys and these older guys, maybe some older guys that really don't fully understand duck hunting. Hey, let them be a part of it. Let them join you. And just open the door up. Don't worry about your limit. You get to hunt the next day or next year or whatever. It's not your last hunt, hopefully, of your lifetime. If you are, you're going to a better place. If it does happen, you're going to a better place. So
with better duck hunting.
With better duck hunting. So I think greed drives that. If you think about it, if you talk to your hunters, most of them, first thing they want to talk about is how many limits they shot for that year. And I think if we get away from that concern and worry about the next guy to us, whether you know him or not, is the approach that we need to have.
And to answer your question specifically, Catfish, I've heard Dennis say, we've had guys that, we're at the ramp or whatever, everybody's, loading up, getting ready to go eat, changing, getting out of your waders and whatever else, and old boy will walk up and say, so how'd y'all do? And we did all right. How'd y'all do? And like that situation you're talking about, he says, well, we'd have done good. These old boys pulled right up at the edge of our decoys and set up and had to deal with them all day. And I've heard Dennis say the first thing out of his mouth in that passing conversation is, well, did you ask them to hunt with you? And that's something I think a lot of people forget. And that's something that, we have to, we always try to do. I mean, that's the first thing it ain't, if you got a guy set up, essentially at the edge of the shotgun range, first thing we do is go say, hey, why don't y'all just come over here with us?
That's amen. That's exactly
you can double up your decoys and double up your guns.
Yeah.
And
if they can't call, you just tell them, hey, listen, I'll do all the calling.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, they may be telling us not to call.
That's something we don't worry about too much is the calling. We just, that's a hunt. We just live through it. We try to go out there and have the best time. And I guess the main thing we try to do is, being safe. And, you get to know somebody that you didn't get to know. And who knows what door might open up when you introduce yourself to somebody like that,
I've done all kinds of fishing and hunting, and there's no camaraderie out there like waterfowl hunting.
I always like to assume that they don't hunt as much as I do. Whether they do or not, I always if we have to get up and leave or if we have to do something, I'm like, oh, that's cute. They're getting out their day.
If we have to leave, they don't have honey buns on the tailgate like we do.
Right.
Yeah. No, I would love to talk about this conversation, like 3 podcasts, about the sportsmanship of being out there and different situations we've run into. But I'd want to hear more about, I'm really excited, not to change gears and back up or go forward. I want to talk about the Dr. Duck podcast. And because I was real excited to get on that subject tonight. And, boy, I ran around it for about 20 minutes there. So what's new? I hear the podcast is going well, and
no, it is, and I got Will and you guys to thank for that. I mean, Dennis and I aren't the most technically savvy group outdoorsmen, but Will was a tremendous help when we first started setting that up, and we thought it would be great. Everybody during the off season, when you get done with duck hunting, everything you see on social media is #duck depression, and then the countdown. the countdown till the next season starts. And we thought, it'd be kind of cool. And we got to talking to some other guys around here to just kind of extend the waterfowl conversation through the off season, and a lot of people said, we get Dennis has got a great social media account. We were pretty early to the Instagram game. I think it's kind of got fired up in 2011, or I don't know, somewhere around that time. We joined. We had a bad habit, I guess I'd say, of not taking a lot of pictures of stuff, some of the cool stuff we did, and we'd ruin any kind of equipment that we took waterfowl hunting with us. We're not good with gear. So Instagram kind of provided us an opportunity to kind of save some of those memories, just shooting a picture, being ourselves, and share that. And we were kind of, like I said, early in the game, and the account grew pretty quick. And, I think, I don't know, he's 50,000 followers or something like that. And Dennis is real humble, great guy about responding to messages. And we get a lot of questions all the time from young guys getting into the sport. And we thought, what a better way to, share some of that information just by kind of, doing the podcast thing. And it hasn't been, we're still working to make it a consistent effort. It's kind of tough with the jobs and still trying to, get ready for season and all that. But it's a real laid back atmosphere. We try to go on Instagram Live, and we don't really, have a topic for most of those things when we sit down. We just kind of, let whoever shows up in the live feed kind of drive the conversation. And it's been a lot of fun, and we've got a lot of positive response about the podcast, and the response has been exactly what we set out to do, which is just kind of extend that conversation through the off season with fellow public hunters.
I love that you guys did that. You took that angle, like you went right to the public with it. That's really cool. I think that's what continues to drive the show, and you get a lot of great content. It's like we have a little segment that we call the topic hat, the Better the Hunt topic hat, and it's just these random topics that come up, and we don't have any foresight, we don't look into them, and whatever comes out during that session, it just comes out. And that's what you guys do every podcast. It's pretty cool.
Yes, I like that spontaneousness. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's just real conversation,
Right. Yeah, you get that right away.
I love those spontaneous questions from people that you don't know is coming too, because especially when somebody's asking you something to learn something, and you found out that you just learned something from their question. I know that's a mind boggler. Listen to it back again, but like it makes me think of stuff that I wouldn't think of that maybe a younger hunter or an older hunter would ask, that's on a different level, that maybe takes me back to something I should be doing, or makes me think about something that I should grow to do. I like, and it's always them spontaneous questions that get you like that. So.
No, you're right on, man, and that happens with us all the time, and that's the beauty of just sharing that conversation with other fellow like-minded people,
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've got to shift gears, guys, because we have two expert duck hunters on, and I need to ask some questions like, what do I need to be doing in the summertime to get ready for the fun time? Because I'm sure, just like in any hunting, a well-prepared hunter is going to have a better season.
The same thing that Billy's doing, standing at his refrigerator, staring at a calendar, crying till counting the days.
Sounds like all you got to do is drive north.
Yeah, drive to Canada.
Yeah, but are you driving your scooter? Are you packing your truck full up? Or do you have your decoys all lined up?
Gotcha.
What's going on, guys? Like, you guys are going to take a trip. What have you done to get ready before now, and what are you going to do now in the next week before you leave, or next week or so?
Well, for hunting public, you know, we don't have property we have to worry about. You know, sometimes people might take it as us dogging people that have, you know, clubs or private property or hunt lodges, and that's not the case. It's just a different situation. They have a lot of work that goes in all year round taking care of that property. We don't have that property. We hunt public, so when we start traveling to hunt, two of the biggest things that, you know, I got to save my money. I'm a poor man, so you got to have money to, you know, pay for gas. And then Dennis, on the other hand, he's a married man, so he's got to earn his kitchen passes.
Nice.
So, you know, yeah, we keep gear available, and to be honest with you, our situation, we have some partners in the industry that we work with, and we try to be good partners to them in the off season. So there's some responsibilities there. But outside of earning kitchen passes and dollars, the biggest thing is that people that hunt with us might say the same thing. If you want to hunt where we hunt, you probably need to, you know, kind of stay in shape throughout the year too. You know, Dennis, we call him the doctor. He got that name from, you know, the research he does in our area to find birds, and scouting is a big passion of his. And I can tell you, you're not going to get a lot of information out of Dennis on where you may be hunting tomorrow. It'll be just meet me at, let's say, be at my house at 11 tonight, and, you know, we may drive up to some spot at, you know, by 2 a.m. and we may have a, you know, 2 or 3 mile walk in carrying a bunch of stuff. I mean, you just never know. So just being ready, you know, is a big deal.
And I guess the gear too is the main thing. You know, I'm a big stickler on decoys. I don't like dirty decoys, so I go through all the decoys. I scrub them down with tire cleaner. I'll make sure they're all clean. I don't like anything dirty. I go through the boat, make sure it's running right. Any little hiccups, you know, through the year, you're always breaking gear when it comes to duck hunting. Things are going to break. So I make sure all of our gear's in proper form at the beginning of the season, because I know it's not going to last throughout the season. But the boat's one of them. Make sure the decoys are right. Make sure there's, you know, we put new stringers on them or whatever, and go through the jerk string, stuff like that, what we want to change. Just go through your mind on what you want to look different for this year, you know. So maybe you want to try something new, get rid of stuff that didn't work out for you the year before. Just stuff like that. That's the public land hunters just getting prepared, because once the season starts, you really don't have time to be working on stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
What about if a guy, like, what if a buddy calls you from out of state and says, get up here tomorrow? Like, are you guys, I have a backpack that's packed and ready to go all the time. So I have to either grab a bow, or I got to grab a rifle or a shotgun and roll.
Got your go pack ready.
Yeah. Do you guys have go packs ready to go?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
you know, we got our, you know, usually, you know, we're on the road anyway, so our bag just stays packed. I don't ever unofficially unpack my bag. So when I get home, I'll take out maybe what's dirty, throw in the washing machine.
He replenishes it with peanut M&Ms is all he got.
I do eat peanut M&Ms. That's what I'm talking.
Just turn it
we got
inside out.
Bag. Yeah, and, you know, we keep a case of shells in each of our trucks just in case, you know, those are things when you're in a hurry, you know, you just might forget, you know. So we keep stuff in our truck that, you know we got. And
batteries in your truck, shells in your truck.
And just, you know, we're just ready to roll. So drop of a hat, if some guy calls me and says, hey, we're loaded up here, you got to get up here tonight, you know, we're on the road. So, yeah, that's for sure. And your backpack just stays, you know, we carry backpacks in because sometimes we walk in and, you know, carrying a bag just doesn't work, because you need a backpack to keep your hands free, and straps on our guns, so we're carrying decoys and other stuff in. So you know, you might carry a dog stand in where we hunt. It might be a little bit too deep for the dog, and so we're ready. We stay ready.
It really makes me happy to hear that you said truck so many times, because I've been accused of living out of my truck quite a few times during hunting season. But it's, if you don't have it and you get off work, I mean, I don't want to drive a half an hour home to drive a half an hour the other way. You know, I just rather take it with you all the time.
I keep them.
You know, most of our hoes that we hunt, it's, you know, time you get off the lake, that's a 25, 30-minute drive most of the time. Time you drive back home, the closest lake that we like to hunt is probably about an hour and 20 minutes. Me, if I done it to Billy last year, he knows he comes prepared because last year we rolled up on a hole. I liked it. We stayed right there. We slept right in the boat, and that's the way we'll do. I won't leave it, and we just don't take the chance. So he knows to come prepared. I'm prepared. We got snacks there. We got little heaters in the boat already, and we're there for the night if it's a lot of ducks.
Now, do you have mosquitoes in your duck season in Texas?
No, it's usually cold by then, and the frost and the freeze usually knocks them down a little bit. Every once in a while you get some warmer mornings, you might hear them buzz by your ear, but it's not a lot of them.
Teal season, they'll carry you off.
Yeah, now teal season they'll eat you alive.
I mean, it's wild. I guess I have a different vision in my head of Texas duck hunting, like running around in knee-high rubber boots and shorts and tank tops, and it's just so far. It's so far south in my mind that it just. I guess I'd never feel like Texas ever gets cold.
Sounds like you got a hankering for a Choco Taco.
It does, yes.
Well, the beginning of November, there's a few years in the beginning of November you probably could have pulled shorts and T-shirts off. But, come January, like last year, which it hadn't happened in a while, we actually had our lakes to freeze, not very thick, but they did cover the top with ice. So it gets cold here, so we enjoy those months, and we do really well. It seems like it pushes the birds down, because if it's frozen here, then I can only imagine what it's like up there. So we do get a big push of birds, but I tell you, as soon as the ice leaves, the ducks leave. I mean, they don't hang around. They hate Texas. They get shot at here every day. I'm sure they do in every state, but we just don't have anything to hold them. We don't have the grain to hold them here. We don't have the corns, the bean fields, the wheat fields, or anything like that. So we're coastal grass and barbed wire fence, and so they're gone as soon as the ice is gone. And
how many times do they get, sea hunters before they finally land, around you guys? And then, so to me, you got to be a pretty good duck hunter to hunt in Texas.
Well, I told the class last night, to hunt in the state of Texas, you can take a Texas boy, and I feel like we can go to just about any state and kill ducks, because when we hunt ducks here, we're hunting Ivy League ducks. They have seen it all, heard it all. They've seen their buddies get shot several times, seen several buddies go down, and so when they get here, they're well educated, and they're not looking for what's right. They're looking for one thing that's wrong, and it might just be one guy standing out just a little bit too far. I take a lot of criticism about wearing face paint, but if you come to Texas and you don't have face paint on, I can just tell you're not going to kill any ducks. I mean, they're going to pick you out. They're looking, and they're looking hard. They're looking exactly where that call's coming from. They want to pinpoint that call so bad until they feel confident that that's a real duck calling down there. And, we have to spread out a little bit wider than most guys. Up north, they'll hunt real close together. Me and Billy, we might separate 20, 25 yards, because when the ducks are looking at him, I hit the call. When the ducks are looking at me, he hits the call. So they can't pinpoint exactly where that duck's coming from. And so that's how we try to build up a little confidence for them to come on in. But there's a whole lot of tricks up here that you have to learn that, up north, that y'all guys done a great job of training them, so when they get here, they're educated.
You're welcome.
Yin's catch them in like that's like a call and crossfire.
Yeah, you have to, because I'm telling you, those ducks want to see those mallard drakes, and they're not paired up. They're, we're hunting a bunch of bachelors down here, and they want to feel 100% confident, and they're circling like a bunch of buzzards on a dead animal. So they want to see exactly where that call's coming from. Billy's real good about it. He'll throw a decoy about 2 or 3 foot from him, and then, trying to make it, kick around a little bit, make sure its weight's moving and stuff. We got all little tricks that we try to use down here, because, they'll just keep circling and circling, because like I said, they're not looking for what's right. You can have everything in place and everything looks good. Your spread looks good, and maybe you hit real well, and maybe you're not. But if you're not going to kill any. But they're looking for one little thing that's wrong. And I mean, it could just be anything. You can make the wrong movement, look up at the wrong time. Just anything small will send them on their way. They're so gun shy. They're a little bit call shy. So you have to learn real quick, because the opportunities that you don't have many. So you got to learn if they're call shy or not, if you're going to hit the call loud or if you're going to hit it subtle. You just got to watch that wing speed a lot. And it'll tell you a lot how fast they're flying, if you're slowing them down, if you're speeding them up. there's a lot of things to look for down here in the state of Texas if you want to be successful killing mallards.
It's so wild to have a day like that too, that everything looks perfect, everything feels perfect, and then you have ducks flare and geese flare and ducks flare all day long, and you move, like I move decoys, I check blinds. It just we have some of them days. Just why?
I think that's one of the. I'm not a classically trained duck hunter, and when I'm with a group of duck hunters, I think it's one of the funniest things to watch you guys go through.
Oh, you'd enjoy going with Dennis then.
Who's moving down there?
Everything's to blame. You know, they saw your cufflinks and they, you know, your beard sticking out too far. And
Will, the first group that flares, Dennis goes out and he'll be in the middle of decoys and he just got this old crooked-eyed dead stare back into everybody. And he's trying to figure out what that duck just saw.
Yep.
If he could go up in a plane or climb a tree on the other side to get a downward view, he'd do it.
Yeah, guys will go. They're like, "Oh, my decoys are flaring them now," and they'll just go buy brand new ones and put the old ones on eBay. And
I've been sent to the corner of the duck blind to hide underneath a black blanket before.
Yeah, quit moving.
Really?
Look, yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, we got what we call the penalty box. So if you know, if we got a guy that sky busts one, or you know he can't hide, or if he shoots a hen, or you know we got little things. We got a little penalty box. You have to go sit in the penalty box for a volley or two, and then you can come back out.
Bless his
I'd
heart.
make them sit on the dog stand.
So we have a good time. But I mean, all the guys. Heck, you know, I ended up in the penalty box last year. You know, we're working a bunch of birds. I got impatient, you know, and I just got frustrated, and then I shot a little bit too early. It happens to the best of us, and heck, I went to the penalty box. I took it like a man.
Was it self-imposed, or did they send you?
Do what now?
Oh no, we had to send him. He was screaming and kicking.
I tell you what, if I hunted with you for a day, you'd end up naming that penalty box the Uncle Buck box.
I've had them flare from like old party balloons that came out of the sky and didn't know they were in the field. You know, like a shiny balloon laying in the field. You never see it in the dark, you know, when you're setting up, and wasn't there yesterday. And we had an epic day of thousands of birds coming over us one morning on a cut cornfield. A little bit of a hill behind us. The wind was right. Then every bird all day would fly over us, circle, and fly off. Had no clue. We fixed everything 10 times. And then finally got, you know, frustrated. My buddy Jesse went for a little walk up over the hill behind us. And here there was a fox down in the trap down by the wood line running in circles. And so as soon as they flew over us, they saw that fox over on the other side of the hill, not 150 yards from us, out in the open. And,
oh wow! I don't blame them for not landing.
Yeah, they didn't land none. So it was a 6-hour learning experience. Look around.
Now you got to do a perimeter check, huh, before you start shooting.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I just don't think waterfowl gets enough credit. You know, I think turkeys get a great credit of how good they can see. Waterfowl, it just seems like, you know, they act, you know, people know they can see, but I just don't think they get enough credit on how well they can see, and also how well they can hear as well. So, you know, that's their first line of defense is their eyesight, and those they'll pick you out, and they'll pick something out that isn't right, just like that fox in the trap. If they don't like it and they see it, it doesn't matter if it's 100 yards or 200 yards away, they gone. And I mean, it's just the facts of it. So, it doesn't take much to flare them out. You you guys up north, you get to work the big volleys. You know, and of course you shoot. Say if you got 3 shells in your gun, you hit 2 out of 3, and you had those 500 working in. You know, just that many birds just got educated. You know, so when I get down to Texas, I mean, honestly, a big group down here is 4 to 5. You know, we're usually hunting doubles, or 3 or 4 in a group, and that's about it. Wow. And every once in a while, you know, we're hunting, 3 mallard drakes with 1 mallard hen, or all 4 drakes, so that's our big volleys down here. We don't get those, and we don't get the opportunities that where it just keeps happening and happening and happening. You know, we get opportunities that might happen at early light, and then it might be we're standing out there at 10:30 before. So it's a grind down here.
Do you guys hear ducks in your sleep?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
I start hearing it in my head this time of year with this weather we got. Finally got a cold front in, and actually it came in early this year. Usually it doesn't happen till the end of October, but we got it right here, and with the rain and the rivers are coming up, and you're getting out of the banks, and it's getting to be an exciting time. So I think this year's with the snow that the Dakotas have already gotten, it's tuning up to maybe having a great year here.
So, he looked like a deer in rut. His old neck swelled up. He ready to go.
Green. My head's turning green and my tail's curling.
You just perked Bucky up. I don't know what you did to him.
Last time that happened, we talked about dolphin procreation.
Yeah. Hey, so let's change subjects here. We're talking about scouting earlier. You mentioned that you're a big scouter, and you also mentioned a key thing that there's not the food supply in Texas. So what are you looking for when you're scouting in your area?
Well, here in Texas, we don't have the fields, so you don't have to worry about scouting the fields. So we're hunting lakes. So we're hunting puddle ducks. I'm going to be on the north end of the lake. I usually scout maybe the mouth of the river where it's coming in. I'll pinpoint those areas mainly. Look for low flats along those bank edges on the north end. There's just several things we're looking for. We're just skimming along in the boat. It's pretty much wide open here. So, we try not to push them up or flare them up. And every once in a while you're going to bump them. So I'll set back 200 or 300 yards with a pair of binoculars, watch them settle in, see where they feel comfortable at. And, then I pretty much check the wind for that afternoon, compare it to wind in the morning. If I got 5 guys hunting with me, I pretty much know where every guy is going to be standing for that next morning. I pretty much know how I want to set my decoys up. I'll mark logs, or I'll mark, floating like a stump or anything like that. I just mark little stuff in my head and just kind of get a visual for what it's going to look for in the next morning, because it's hard to plan that stuff in the dark, and you're trying to manage, different guys and trying to figure out where everybody's going to get in the dark. It's a lot easier doing that the day before.
Oh yeah.
And that's how we plan stuff. I'll sit out there and I'll visualize 4 or 5 guys with us. I'll visualize, okay, so-and-so's hunt here, here, and here, and this is how we're going to set up our spread. So all those answers are done. Our questions are done. So when we show up that next morning, we're just, everybody's got to go and we get it done, or when we're camping out that night, we got it figured out.
You mentioned north a few times there. Why are you keying on the north end of the lake or the north section of the river?
Because mallards like to feed on fresh water, fresh ground. They like, the food flows in from the rivers, or they just, that's where they like to be. The north end is the shallowest part of the lake, usually here in Texas. The north end is where the dam is. It's usually the deeper part of the lake.
South end,
yeah. So,
okay.
So basically, we're up there, and I like where the rivers are flowing in, and usually those ducks are traveling those rivers, and then they'll, we got flats and stuff, but. I stay away from the ducks that's rafted up in the middle with no cover. I don't like hunting those ducks. I pass on those ducks. I like finding ducks that are in pockets and tight holes a little bit. They're easier to work. It's more cover there than it is in the open flats where there's no cover. We got a lot of guys that cut cane and they'll put around, but those mallards, we hunt the mallards. They're real smart. They know if something's there one day and it wasn't there the day before. And so it just throws a flag up to those guys, and they're just real hard to finish. And not to say they won't come in and look, but those guys are normally taking longer shots than what I normally like to take, and you spend more time chasing them, a wounded bird, than you are hunting. So
I never gave that a thought though. Like Deke just asked you a question, and I learned something from that. Like I have a few 100-acre lake right behind the house. And then there's also the creek bed behind the house that comes out of it but doesn't go into it. But the geese, I can hear the geese and the ducks coming over the house, coming up the creek, and they're landing exactly what you said. And the cleanest water there is in my lake is at that end of the lake. And I never gave that a thought. I just thought that was the northern fly zone, the north end of the lake, coming in and out of the lake. Because we hunt primarily the south end of the lake in the fields. I just thought that they got smart about it, but it makes sense. They're actually way high. They're following the creek back to the lake.
Yes, sir. And that's what they normally do. And they're going to hit that fresh water first coming into that lake. That's what they like or seem to like. And So that's a, you know, if I'm looking at a map, that's where I'm going. If I've never been to a lake before, I've never been on it, I'm on it for the first time. I'm looking to see where the rivers are flowing in, and I'm going to go to the mouth. I'm going to pinpoint the mouth of the rivers and just kind of, you know, go along those edges there. And normally that's where you're going to find them. You know, all your dabbling ducks. You know, scouting divers, I'll be honest with you, I probably lacking a little knowledge in that area because honestly, we don't hunt divers very much. I haven't shot a diver in probably years, so nothing against the diver huntings. You know, I get called the mallard purist, but I'm not. I like chasing the mallard because I think it's the smartest bird out there. I think it's the hardest bird to kill, and that's my passion. I want to make it as difficult on me as I possibly can because that's the challenge that I like to do.
You're going to have to start to shoot left-handed next year.
I think so.
Yeah.
I got Billy. Billy's already shooting left-handed, so.
Yeah.
Are you using a slingshot?
I totally get the challenge part. I love the different challenges because for me, I think my actually favorite hunting of the entire year is late February goose season here because I'm not saying that other guys aren't out. They are, but less guys are out when it's negative, 5, -7, 8, 10 degrees out, and you're laying out in the, 30, 40 mile an hour winds on an open cornfield all day. It's the challenge for me is to stay out there until the snow's covered the blind, and the only reason it's not totally covering me is we got to get out and get the snow off the decoys. And here's the thing, it's crazy. In February for our late season goose season, we have a lot of ducks that come in. Like a lot of ducks come in around our decoy set that are goose decoy sets. And I think for me, I honestly think the ducks are looking for something to eat that the geese are kicking up in the fields. Like they already used their big feet, so why not get in the fields and use the where the geese have already dug it up. So
yeah, it makes sense. That's cold weather, Jack.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the second that it snows up here, if you can be in the field, they're coming off that lake behind my house, and they're coming out. Will's seen it. They're coming out in thousands sometimes. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds in a group, and they're looking for the first place to eat. It's not like anything else, If an earthquake hit and you're starving to death, you're not going to drive 6 McDonald's down the road to get a burger. If you want that one last burger before you die, because they freak out when bad weather comes, you're going to hit the first McDonald's, and
especially if one's cracked open.
Yeah, some of my hunting fields are the first ones out of the lake, so there's food. So
very cool.
Yeah, anyhow, thought process. I learned something.
Guys, we're bumping up on time, so this is perfect timing to have you guys on the show, and I really do appreciate you guys. And
I have a lot more questions for them, so
we gotta get you guys to promise to come back.
Part 2.
Man, yeah, we'd love to. It's always a good time getting to talk with you guys.
Well, for sure, enjoyed it.
It was kind of cool to bump into you at the Great American Outdoor Show, and Dennis, I talked to you a little bit, but heard tons about you, and
well, I hope it was all good.
Oh yeah.
Most of it.
If you boys want to brave the winter, come on up. Catfish will take you hunting.
I ain't got my weight on y'all spring and get him carry us fishing up there.
There you go.
That's it there too.
Yeah, we'll talk for sure.
Too bad we couldn't cast and blast.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be freaking awesome.
So, where can everybody find you? Where can they find the podcast?
The podcast is just about everywhere podcast kind of stuff lives. I know it's on iTunes and Google, but Dr. Duck is all you got to look up. Just Dr. Duck podcast, and we're like I said earlier, we're not too tech savvy, but we've got a YouTube channel now. It's Dr. Duck, and we've been fortunate enough to have some folks who share the same passion as us, and some partners who like to do some video stuff with us, and we're going to be putting that stuff up there on the sorry about that. We got a dog fired up for duck season too.
Yeah.
So we got the Dr. Duck podcast, and we got the Dr. Duck YouTube channel, and of course you can find Dr. Duck and I'm the Fowl Hunter on Instagram and Facebook too.
Roger that. Roger that. Guys, this has been incredible.
It's good stuff.
I could keep going, guys. I mean, it's so good. Let's keep going.
Well, what we need to do is have you guys. Will needs to help me figure out how to do this over the phone, and we need to get you guys on the Dr. Duck podcast.
Sounds great.
That's easy. We'll make it happen.
Just record it right now.
Yeah.
Well, I would if I had enough juice in my phone and my stuff with me. We should, but
it's all good, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We're gonna.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much.
This is wonderful.
Hey, David, Kyle.
Yeah, bud.
When we're not
eating peanut M&Ms in the duck blind.
Oh yeah.
Working the north side of the lake.
When we're not forcing Bucky into the timeout box.
Where can they find us?
You can find us at rutandriverpursuit.com. You can find us by searching all the social media outlets for Rut and River Pursuits. You can also find us on YouTube at Rut and River Pursuit Podcast.
Check out them YouTubes.
Yeah, check us out individually on Instagram and Facebook. Check out the R2 Buckman.
R2 Buck?
Just
R2 Buck.
Buck.
Sorry.
You get
Check out the Steve Miser.
Yeah, it's a play on words. Bud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud. But yeah, check us all out. We're all there.
Awesome.
Double entendre.
Thank you so much. Native Howl, play us out.
See ya.
Ring 'em with us.
I love those spontaneous questions from people that you don't know is coming too, because especially when somebody's asking you something to learn something, and you found out that you just learned something from their question. You know, I know that's a mind boggler. Listen to it back again, but
he looked like a deer in rut. His old neck swelled up. He ready to go.
Green. My head's turning green and my tail's curling.
You just perked Bucky up. I don't know what you did to him.
Last time that happened, we talked about dolphin procreation.
yeah.